Over the last few years, I've played more JRPGs than I can keep track of. Some games I've loved, some games I haven't enjoyed as much, and then there's also been some games that I've really liked, I've really enjoyed, but just kind of fell a little bit short of being a perfect game. So yes, we're talking about some JRPGs that are almost perfect, but before we get to that, don't forget to like and subscribe and comment down below. Let me know some of your almost perfect JRPGs. I would love to know. So let's get to the first one. Let's start the list with Fantasian. Now, this is a game that I really do enjoy, and I enjoyed it back when I played it on iOS, Apple Arcade, back in 2021. Originally, the game was released in two parts. Part 1 is most of the story-heavy stuff, and Part 2, which came out a few months later, is more of the open-ended, quest-oriented stuff you can kind of play in a loose order right up until you finish the game. Now, this game is notorious for being incredibly difficult. The first half of the game, like I said, is story focused. The second half, you really need to be paying attention to your character builds, patterns and weaknesses of bosses, because man, I'm telling you what, if you're not ready for that second half difficulty spike, you are in for a rude awakening. Now, I was really excited to get Fantasian Neo Dimension and play it on my Steam Deck. I enjoyed it. I played just about 35 hours or so, and I had to give it up back in December. I wanted to finish it, honestly, and I still haven't finished it yet, but the bosses became too difficult. And yes, I know some of you can comment down below and say, yeah, get good, but you know what? When the joy of this game is literally being sucked out of you trying to fight these bosses, not to mention that once you get to the second half of the game, you're forced to use specific characters in your party. So whatever way that you were playing the game originally in the first half, I like to have 3 characters that I stick with, and that's really it. I'm kind of like basic that way. Whereas once the second half of the game kicks in and you're forced to use characters you're not used to, you have to relearn strategies, rethink how you fight battles, it just became really difficult. The one thing I will say that I did enjoy to try and counter that, you can swap party members while in the middle of a battle, but doesn't help because the one boss battle that I got stuck on in Blue Grotto, you're stuck with Kina and Cheryl in your party, so you can only rotate one at a time. There was too many elemental weaknesses happening at once in that specific boss battle. Man, I just had to walk away, and unfortunately, I haven't looked back since. It's a shame, but I did enjoy Fantasian quite a lot, but I just couldn't do it anymore. Next up is Metaphor ReFantazio. Now, this is a game that came out and had a lot of hype to it. I didn't really expect anything. I haven't played any Persona games or Shin Megami Tensei games, so this is kind of new to me. Like Atlas JRPGs are a new type of game to me, honestly, and I do want to get into Persona this year. But Metaphor ReFantazio, like I said, had a lot of hype. I applied for the review code, I got the review code, booted it up on Steam Deck, and I was mostly interested in it, and it's a game that for some reason or another never truly hooked me. And I finished it after 60 hours or so, which for those of you who have played it will say that's not enough time. I haven't spent enough time with the game or doing side quests, which fair enough, but I just played the game kind of being mostly mildly interested in it. I think it was really cool in terms of premise. I really liked the gameplay loop. Some of the characters were cool, but the overall story of the game, the overall why of Metaphor, just really didn't resonate with me. Obviously, I was interested enough in it to see it through to the credits, but it just never really hooked me. I just kind of felt like a spectator thinking, yeah, this is okay. I really truly don't understand how a lot of people said last year it was, game of the year, JRPG of the year, best experience they've had of their lifetime. It's same thing with Expedition 33. I'm finding a lot of people are saying this is a 10 out of 10 masterpiece. Is it really just recency bias for games like these? Are they really that good? I mean, even with Expedition 33, just to sidetrack a little bit, yeah, it's a good game, but I don't love it as much as 99% of the people out there on the internet are. And that's the same thing with Metaphor for me. It just never really hooked me. I thought the story was maybe just a little bit cliche. It never resonated with me. And I've had some of you comment down below and saying, you're not looking into it well enough. You're not looking at it from, a broad enough perspective to understand the story. Like I get all that, but it was fun. I enjoyed the gameplay loop. Combat was great, but yeah, the story, I don't know, just never got me. And by the way, don't forget, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. It's free. It supports the channel and it does actually help quite a lot. Now, I've already covered one Mistwalker game in this video, so why not another? Lost Odyssey is a game that I have always wanted to play, and I finally had the opportunity to play it a couple of months ago when I found a Xbox 360 on Facebook Marketplace with a ton of games, and lo and behold, Lost Odyssey was there, and I managed to snag that for like $50, which was a steal in my opinion. I could not wait to fire up this 4-disc Xbox 360 game, and a game that a lot of you say is the true Final Fantasy 13. So it already had a gigantic amount of hype going for it. Initially, I was very interested in the game. I liked the earlier sections of the story and the supplementary material with 1,000 Years of Dreams, short stories, even being moved to tears with a few of them. But as the game went on, I really just didn't vibe with the overall story. I kind of found that it was maybe just a little bit bland. The big bad or the boss of the game just felt too cheap. I don't know. It was just something about how the main motivations between these immortals being immortal and coming from a different dimension, and then one of the immortals ends up being the bad guy, and then there's human characters, and I don't know. It was a really cool game. I enjoyed the combat. It's almost similar to Metaphor, honestly. Cool premise, but just never truly glued me. I respect this game for what it is, and I do understand that this, came from a time when JRPGs weren't really a thing, especially on the 360. So this was really a trailblazer in its own right on the Microsoft system back then. But yeah, even playing it now, it felt a little bit dated. Some of the characters felt a little bit stale to me, but overall, Lost Odyssey was a cool experience. I'm glad I played it. Did it live up to the hype? No. So yep, another one, almost perfect. It was cool, but yeah, just never really grabbed me. Now, this next game is almost perfect for a different reason, and it's because of, in my opinion, being the biggest what if in JRPGs. I've talked a lot about Xenogears over my time on YouTube here, and even recently doing like a religious deep dive on how this game challenges the concepts of religion and God and the concept of God and the afterlife and all that stuff. So if you've missed that video, please go check that out because it's super, super informative and probably the deepest dive I may ever do on my channel. But Xenogears is great. The first disc of that game out of the 2 discs that it has is absolutely perfect. I couldn't critique that game any bit. It was just an amazing experience. Then I finally get to the second half of the game, and a lot of it is being told to me by the characters, almost like a visual novel. And obviously, there were budget constraints and stuff like that, and the development cycle was going on a little bit too long, so they had to really shrink it down, give us the plot, give us a few minimal sections to play through, and then we get dumped into the final boss area, which was, cool. I love the mystique, and I just love the whole vibe of this game. But, you can't shake that feeling of I'm really playing an incomplete game here. Again, leading to the biggest what if in JRPGs for me. I would love for Xenogears to be remade so that way it can be actually fully made. So that way we can fully experience the story the way that it was meant to be experienced. And I've said many, many times on this channel that Xenogears is the most brain food JRPG ever. It really makes you think. So I would love to be able to experience and play through some of these sections of the story that was more or less told to us from a visual novel standpoint. So Xenogears, it's an almost perfect JRPG for, just not being totally finished. Last thing on the list today is ChronoCross. Now, I do actually really like ChronoCross. It is a different game than Chrono Trigger, and it's taken me a long time to, fully step back and fully appreciate ChronoCross for being what it is. It is something else. It exists within that Chrono universe, but it's not necessarily a sequel. And fair enough if you buy ChronoCross thinking you're getting Chrono Trigger 2, but the only thing you're going to get is disappointed. Now, after I got over that, I finally realized that ChronoCross is actually a pretty cool game. Now, the reason why it's almost perfect to me is that there's actually too much going on. I find that I have option paralysis when it comes to games and multiple choices and different playthroughs and getting different characters and getting different endings. I get that. And that is the major appeal to a game like this to a lot of you out there. But to somebody like me who really likes to only experience one thing once, I never go back and watch movies again because I know what's going to happen. Do you know what I mean? That's just the kind of person that I am. And I realize the whole fault lies with me, not necessarily the game to a point. But there's a lot that I love about ChronoCross. I love the visual style of the game. It's one of the best looking games on the PlayStation 1. And of course, the Radical Dreamers edition has since been updated, so it runs pretty smoothly. That's all well and fine. But my favorite thing about ChronoCross is actually the soundtrack, and for a lot of you out there, might be one of the only redeeming factors from this game if ChronoCross is a game that you truly do not like. I will say that over time, I do find that I am warming up to the idea of ChronoCross. Originally, I didn't like it, and over the years, I've come to appreciate it and, really enjoy it for what it is. So again, another almost perfect JRPG. There's just so much to do, too many characters in my opinion, too many what ifs, but man, the music, I gotta say, I love it. It's timeless. So that's my list of JRPGs that are almost perfect, whether they're grind heavy or stories kind of got a little bit too boring, or maybe the games weren't quite complete. That's just a few games that I thought were, almost perfect. So let me know yours down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you again on another video next week. Bye-bye.